Welcome to episode 145 of the BJJ Mental Coach podcast. I'm your host, Gustavo Dantas, and I had a conversation with Watus Cooper. Watus, he is the owner of Unfair Advantage Performance in Tempe, Arizona. Beautiful 4,000 square foot facility, and is dedicated to helping individuals achieve optimal wellness. Got a quick intro here. At UAP, they specialize in a comprehensive range of services, from the invigorating cold plunge and rejuvenating infrared sauna to the restorative power of compression therapy, massage therapy, physical therapy, and corrective exercise. Their mission is to empower individuals to be the healthiest, happiest, most optimized versions of themselves. He's a former D1 track athlete, strength and conditioning coach from the University of Arizona, and blue belt in jiu-jitsu. He's also a proud husband and father of four. In addition of his professional pursuits, he founded the local nonprofit Honor the Fallen. This organization is dedicated to supporting the families of fallen police, fire, and military personnel. Whether it's optimizing performance, achieving true wellness, and making an impact, a positive impact in the community, Watus is here to guide and support you on your journey. You guys were here during the interview. I just started attending Unfair Advantage Performance, and man, it's been awesome doing the recovery, something that is new to me. As far as doing the cold plunge, I was already doing sauna, but not the infrared sauna. So I've been really taking advantage of that, meaning I leave there some days that I'm a little beat up, you know how it is after training. I'm like, dude, actually, it's kind of helping me, so it's a love-hate relationship with the cold plunge. But anyway, man, this has been awesome. So he's going to talk more about this, about optimizing your life. And that's why I titled the episode this. So if you're listening this in the podcast version, if you stay at the end, I have my final thoughts and I talk about optimizing your life. I like to do sometimes some research and read and talked about. So I just came up with my takeaway for the episode. Just got back in town. I was in Midland, Texas. So we're like right now May 12th or something. I recorded the interview a couple of days, 3 days ago, and just doing the intro right now. So I got back from visiting my friend, my brother, Bruno Bastos. Got a great team in Texas. Beautiful school too, and great competition team. So I went there for some training, and also once a year I've been going there before the Adult World Championship and doing a mental skills training seminar, talking about mindset, the importance of mindset, sharing concepts from the BJJ Mental Coach podcast, and not just a podcast, but the BJJ Mental Coach concept itself. And it's something that I've been kind of like missing. Like, man, I want to do more about it. So hopefully the podcast helps me to just kind of like keep, working on creating content. And I'll be visiting June 14th. I'm going to be in New Jersey at Victor Shaolin's Academy. Same thing, talking about the mental aspect. And actually, before that, I'll be at the Nova União Experience at the last weekend of June and showing some jiu-jitsu at the same time, talking about the mindset aspect, and hopefully little by little release some more content. Also, before we start the interview, as I mentioned, recording this in May, it's been going on the worst flood, as far as I know, in history in Brazil, in the south of Brazil. And for people who don't know, maybe you're listening to this for the first time, listening to the podcast, don't even know much about me. I co-founded the nonprofit organization Jiu-Jitsu Tribe, and our mission is to inspire, impact, and improve lives, utilizing jiu-jitsu as a personal social development tool in impoverished communities worldwide. We have a few places in the US, not too many, but in Brazil, man, there's so many social projects changing lives, giving opportunity to people through jiu-jitsu, and we do our best to support them. And we do in three different ways. One is through mental health partnership with the behavior centers. We have one in Phoenix with Resilient Health, which is awesome. And just basically being a connector with both with the child that already kids struggling with anxiety disorder, depression, so forth, and having jujitsu to help during the process. The second one is the sustainability, social project sustainability from construction, new mats, gis, and so forth. And the third one that started about a year and a half ago, the Jiu-Jitsu Tribe Institute, where we have our own place. There's jiu-jitsu classes that we fund, the classes, the coaches, and they are in the south of Brazil. Luckily, just the way that they are positioned and just the geography of the state, we didn't get hit like with a major flood, but they didn't have power. They still, like this week, they didn't have power for for the whole day. But anyway, not just the institute, all the staff at the Jiu-Jitsu Tribe Institute, in connection with all the social projects that we work with, being on the front line of helping people. So I did a fundraiser seminar Saturday at my school. And if you want to just, if you just Google floods, Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil, and you'd be shocked. I mean, it's devastated. And it's a place that when I go to Brazil has been my second home. I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, but usually I don't even go to the city anymore. I go like 3 hours from the city where my mom is, so I go there to visit and stay with her. But now I go more, spend more time in Rio Grande do Sul because of the institute, the events that we do with the kids there. So just connecting even more with me, knowing, looking at the airport and shut down. And it's been a week. You know, it's completely flooded. It's a major issue. So we've been getting donations because they need clear water, clean water, clothes and stuff. So our institute is managing that. So Jiu-Jitsu Tribe here, it's actually raising the money from sand, and then with a lot of transparency and sending all the receipts and everything for them to be distributing all the food and clothing that they need besides the donations they have there and whatever we can get. So anything can help, like $5, anything, especially in Brazil being the like 5 to 1. But anyway, if you want to learn more about it, just type on Google. And if you want to help out, jujitsutribe.org. And if you ever want to have possibly a seminar, a mental skills training seminar, you can always get in contact with me too, especially because I'm like, you know what, I need to get, I don't talk enough about it, or when I go and I come back from it, sometimes I forget or just like, it's okay. But a lot of people sometimes just listen to the podcast, get some information or know more about it. Maybe I'm teaching a seminar that is close to where you at and you're curious about the content, and then we can possibly attend a class or bring me over for a class as well. I do private work. I do fundraisers through the organization. So I have different events for different things. But if you want to learn more about it, of course, you can just send me a message, and make sure that stay until the end of the interview if you listen to the audio version where I have my final thoughts. Enjoy. Who's Watus, welcome to the podcast.
Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want to go straight to the point, or you sharing about unfair advantage. I just start to take advantage actually of the recovery. So we're gonna talk about this too, and to give more information to people who don't know much about the how the process is. But I want you to just go and then just talk about the facility and what's the mission.
Okay. Yeah. So Unfair Advantage Performance is a business I started in 2005 after leaving college athletics. So I was a strength conditioning coach for several years. I left out of coaching in the collegiate ranks and started my own company. And from there, I started to recognize that there was a gap in the level of athleticism um, that kids would have coming out of high school and going into college. And so I started to really find that where there was a need for kids to be able to have a certain style of training, and really it was a style of training that they didn't know about. So they needed to know certain things that I feel like a lot of high school age athletes didn't know about, and so that It's where I originally started with my plan to bridge the gap between high school athletes just getting out of high school and I'm crossing over to a D1 or D2 or going to the next level. And the strength levels were different, the speed levels were different, and a lot of times the kids' mentality wasn't really prepared for the workload and what they were going to be up against. And so what I started to do was find kids that were aspiring to go into college, and this is back in 2005, 2006, and start to work with them and create programs that would help them understand the workload and the demand that they're going to be up against as far as how much weight they need to be starting to push and carry and uh, get in the training aspect of it and then the cardio aspect of it. And while doing that, I used to go out to these kids practice, and the kids would practice for an hour and I would do the training. And then the parents started to say, hey, this is really good. Is there a way we can get involved? We're here for 2 hours. So you train our kids for an hour. Can we train the next hour after that? And I said, well, yeah, that'd be great. And so I started training really just general population as if they were athletes, and they loved it. They got results, and they were able to really find that that's how I should probably be training all the time. So I really got this mindset that no matter what a person does for a living, I treated them as they were an athlete. And so fast forward to 2010, I'm in Phoenix and I'm looking to actually train on a higher level. So at a facility, before I had my own facility, I was training out of a facility, and I really wanted to start to get to the mindset of really filling all the gaps, right? So there's this gap mentality where I noticed that kids had a gap when they were trying to go to the next level. Well, human beings and people in general, when it comes to health and fitness, had a gap in what they understood for what it takes to be successful in fitness, what it takes to be successful with their nutrition, their sleep, and there's these just little gaps, right? So we all know about working out, we all know about eating, but there's a gap in the understanding of what it takes to really have the the good, better, and best version of those things. And so I really, the mission behind Unfair Advantage was to come alongside people and bridge the gap and fill in the spaces and be a one-stop shop for each and every aspect of human optimization. So we want to be able to help people with their fitness. We want to be able to help people with their nutrition, with their sleep, and any other deficits they might have as it presents in a way of helping them get to an optimal level of fitness and health.
Beautiful.
So
Now, just let us know about how was your athletic journey, and because I know you got involved with sports early too, and maybe something right after would be like, man, I wish I had this year when I was an athlete. Now, I assume that nowadays you're exposed to, of course, more things that would be like, man, I wish someone was showing me that when I was younger, when I was an athlete. So tell us a little bit about your background.
so my I originally got into athletics. I actually grew up in Japan. I was born and raised in Japan, and I played baseball from the time that I could remember, probably first, second grade until I was in eighth grade, and we moved to the States. So my parents were both military, and we moved to Arizona and started high school. And baseball season and track season were at the same time, and I wanted to try out track and field. And so my freshman year of high school, I started running track, and I fell in love with the hurdles and the hurdle events. So the short hurdles or the high hurdles, as well as the endurance event, which is the 300 hurdles in high school, the 400 hurdles in college. Moved on from there, got a college scholarship, and went on to the next level to compete in college with the running track as a hurdler and a decathlete, where I did 10 events. But
Oh,
my love was still for the hurdles, and the hurdles were primarily my main event. And so, if there was one thing, I remember when I got to college and I really didn't understand really what it meant to be fast. You show up, you're 18, 19 years old, and everybody there is 21, 20 years old. Like they've been doing it for three years at a time. And somebody told me, push with both feet when you're getting out of the blocks. And I'm like, how did I not know this? It was one of those things where it was an aha moment because I was always driving off my front leg. And so instantly I was able to drop in my time. But what I really take away from where I was at as an athlete, if I could go back and talk to myself then, I think it's all about the recovery. The things like you said, there's obviously a lot more that we know now that I didn't know then. But if I had to know one thing back then, it would be how to recover my body. Um, and how to really get the most out of my food. I didn't know what I was doing when I was eating. I was just eating to just eat, or I was making a protein shake to make a protein shake. I didn't really understand what it took to process foods, and what that level of absorption would be for individuals, right? Everybody can't do the same thing. So because my friends were all doing it, I was doing it, and it really wasn't applicable for my level of performance. And so those are the things that if I had to go back, I really want to learn more about how to really dial in my food and my nutrition, and how to recover from the performance. I think the performance side of things, or the athletic side of things, was great. And obviously, there's a lot of talent that goes into there. There's skill that can be developed from working out and training. But ultimately, the two things that were missing were my nutrition and my recovery process, which, in looking back, I probably could have had a much better career as an athlete, knowing some of the things that I know now about nutrition and about recovery. And so, yeah.
Beautiful. So for the listeners don't know, I have mentioned possibly at some point I had Greg McClarty. I think it was maybe episode 125 or something. I'm not completely sure, but he had his HQ in his physical therapy clinic in Scottsdale, and he started a partnership with Unfair Advantage to be there a couple
Yes.
of times a week, which is, for me, it's awesome because GD
Mhm.
Academy, it's like 2 minutes away. So that
Yeah.
makes super convenient that I go there twice a week, do my treatment with him. And one of the things, man, that I think we have a lot of the listeners who have a lot of masters listeners. And one of the things I wish I would take care of my body better when I was younger. When you're younger,
Yeah.
kind of like, it's okay. Yeah. And I was
Mhm.
just, shake it off, type of deal. And as you
That's it.
get older, that process is not that smooth, to
Right.
recover, and you do need professional help. So I've been
100%.
working with him for a long time, which helps me in the top of a bunch of things. And I've been looking into, I know people have been looking around how the recovery like realm and topic is being
Mhm.
around, more and more people recognizing the importance of it. And I've never been exposed to until I got into Unfair Advantage. And the relationship with the cold water, as I mentioned to you, is a love-hate relationship, that
Yeah.
like, God, I not a big fan of cold water, but I totally get it when you mentioned that it's super mental, to be
Yeah.
there and
Oh
try to
gosh, yeah.
focus on your breathing, that I usually start to like space out. And that's something that I'm still working on it, of like to be as present as possible. It's definitely a battle, especially when it start getting cold. But
Yeah.
I I do feel the difference though, after doing the sauna and doing the cold plunge. So can you explain us more about, especially people that maybe heard or see people get in a cold water or full of ice or whatever? So just tell us more about the recovery, the importance, and how much you've seen the difference, from 20 years ago to now.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about that in a relationship between with Greg as a physical therapist. Our facility is set up where we primarily did fitness training, and we have a 2,500 square foot facility of just training, biomechanical training. Where we're helping bodies really get strong, really get fit, and really start to know and understand their bodies, how to move, and how to get out of pain, right? And so to find the strength that it takes to maintain that type of mobility. And one of the things that I talk about in bridging the gap we were missing was the gap of helping bodies recover, and how much that plays into the real aspect of it. So we added in ice bath and infrared sauna several years ago, and I had it in just a small little room, and then we expanded to add in another 2,500 square feet, and we made that side of the building completely recovery. And Greg came on board, and he has his office here, and so we really started to really conceptualize, or go beyond the concept of what it means to have the one-stop shop. So if somebody's in pain, they need to see a therapist. And once they get done with therapy, there's a training protocol that we could set up to help them maintain the levels of comfort that they've just received. And part of that protocol is the ice bath, the infrared sauna, and we've also brought on 3 massage therapists as well. And so really solving a lot of the problems as it resolves around pain. But really, before you even get into the pain conversation, we talk about recovery. The ice bath was touted 20 years ago as something where you're just hurt, right? So as an athlete, we've seen it everywhere in facilities across the world with every sport, there's ice tubs, but it's typically surrounding an injury. So we want to have you come in and put your feet or your ankles, or you have shin splints, or if you have a knee issue or hip issue, we're going to ice it. And so we're going to do it as a way to stop the inflammation process, which has been proven to be one of the things that help athletes recover faster. But now, as we fast forward and we start to look at more and more of what we know about the human body, ice during a very immediate injury or acute injury is actually stopping the body from doing what we want it to do.
Yeah.
So we don't want to really do ice if you have an injury, because that might hamper or slow down the natural processes of the body. And so now you look at, okay, so what is all this ice bath talk, and how is it still beneficial? So on the other side of the coin, you have ice bath being more of the therapeutic mindset, and ultimately it's training your brain and your body to not be so responsive and reactive, right? To be able to remain in a state of rest and digest. So we talk about the parasympathetic and sympathetic and how the body responds to stress. And the ice bath is a stress trainer, meaning I need to train my body to not respond to stress with so much of a knee-jerk reaction or inflammation or whatever it may be. And this, when we talk about stress, we're talking about like you're driving in traffic, somebody cuts you off, your response can be one of two things. You can go all the way over here and get mad and grip the steering wheel, or I can breathe and say, they're just in more of a hurry than I am, right? So the ice bath is where we can learn to train our body how to respond to stress, because as human beings, we're going to encounter stress. And there's no doubt about the fact that we're going to get into these stressful situations. It could be a relationship, it could be business, it could be finance, it could be all the things that come with life. How do I practice dealing with these things as they come in? We purposely put ourselves into a stressful environment, and the ice tub is that environment. The ice, nobody likes the ice, right?
Hmm.
People tell me all the time, they're like, yo, I hate being cold. Welcome aboard. Nobody I know loves just sitting in 38, 39-degree water. But if I can force myself into that environment, I can learn how to now deal with the stress level that's manageable, but it's stressful. And what I have to overcome in that 3 to 5 minutes in the ice tub is what we now walk away from into the rest of our life. For me, personally, I've been exposed to ice baths probably for the last 4 or 5 years, from a full immersion standpoint. And what I've noticed is that when I go to a stressful situation, and I like to use jiu-jitsu and BJJ as an example, because I can remember when I'm in a tournament and there's 20 seconds left in the match, and it's 0-0. The guy is actually in my guard, and I'm playing this guard role, and I have to pass his guard. I've got 20 seconds to climb to this guy's back or to submit him or do something. I look at my wife and I look at my friends that are cheering for me, and I remembered the ice bath. The ice bath was all those times of really being uncomfortable was what it came down to, those last 20 seconds of the match. And in that moment, I just said, I didn't do all that for nothing. I didn't
Hmm.
suffer through the ice tub. I didn't suffer and go through those stressful situations for nothing. There was purpose, and it was driven towards taking that extra step to do what's required when I don't feel I can. And I think the ice bath always presents an opportunity for somebody to do that. I climbed to his back, passed this all the way around, got the points for the back take, got the points, and the match was over. It just paddle, and now here we are. I got those points, and it wasn't that I was better than him or all those things coming. It was it was the ice bath that I can definitely point to that helped me in that moment. And it's the same thing as I get into situations where it might be turned into an argument, with people that I've come in contact with. The ice bath is what helps me not react um harsh and brass. It's like, okay, let me breathe and think about what I want to do. And that's where you can start to make really, really big gains mentally and as well as physically. Right, there's a physical aspect that's going on there too. There's some chemistry that's changing in the body as well, while in the ice bath. And so all those things only become more amplified once you get out and you start to really exercise and put it into practice like you've already done.
So as far as time, what is you talk about 3 to 5? What is the minimum to be able to like, okay, have benefit? And is there like too much? Is that stay there for too long? Of course, there's tolerance levels,
Yep.
but is there a point that are like, dude, that's too much? Is not recommended.
Yes, from what I've seen, there is ideally what you want to do is you want to get 11 minutes a week, however that breaks up, right? So it might be 1 to 2 minutes every single day. It might be 3 minutes to 5 minutes twice a week. What we're really looking for and what I try to help people to aspire to attain is I need to be able to get into the ice and control my breath, right? So once I can get to a place where my breathing is normalized and my heart rate has become lower, then I feel that you've reached the point where you can now get out of the ice. And
Mm.
so the point isn't to try to do as long as possible, right? There's hypothermia, there's the real dangers that extreme cold exposure could present. And so you got to be real leery of that. Ideally, I like to try to have people out of there right around the 5 to 6 minute mark. I don't think there's any real benefit past that, unless you're experienced and you've been able to do this at a time where you need to now start to push yourself to a different tolerance level. And there's some other things you can do to push the envelope as it relates to building up tolerance. Surrounding breathing, we can go to a colder temperature. There's things that you can do without getting that increased exposure because, like I said, there's a lot of dangers that can be presented once you start to cross over 7 minutes, 10 minutes, and your body's going through this hyperthermia. And really, the benefits are now becoming diminished, right? So now you're actually hurting your body versus getting some of the benefits that you might have encountered going into the ice bath for 3 to 5 minutes. So the research is saying that you want to get about 11 minutes a week on average throughout the course of a week that you're getting exposed to cold immersion.
So one of the things too you see, I don't know how much the temperature, this is a question that I have, like how much it plays because okay, we're in the bathtub that is, there's no like actual ice. But what about people just go home and just dump ice? So you don't really know. Maybe some people do use thermometer or whatever, but you really don't know the temperature, just like boom, and then let's go. Is it recommended? Is it recommended to have an idea of the temperature? What do you think?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So the real benefits of doing cold water immersion are only going to happen at 55 degrees or less. Okay. So whatever the temperature is, if you're doing ice or if you're doing the chilling unit, which what we have here, where the water is being chilled to a certain temperature, it has to be less than 55 degrees. Now, at 55 degrees, most people can endure it. And so you're going to get the benefits physically and chemically that they're going on with the physiology of the body, but the mental stress comes at the colder temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
So we keep ours at 39 degrees. On a given day, it's going to be about 39 to 40 degrees at all times. And what we're trying to
Kind
go
of
after there is
standard, sort of.
that I would say between 39 and 42 is probably the industry standard for most facilities. If you're going to a facility that has ice tubs, they're probably going to be around 40, between 38 and 42 degrees. And I think mentally, you're going to get the most benefits from those colder temperatures. At 55 degrees, it might shock the system a little bit, but you're really not going to push the envelope mentally to cause you to really have a stress response that's going to give you the benefits of really understanding the parasympathetic and the sympathetic versions of how your body's responding to stress. So ideally, there definitely is a something to be said about the temperature of the water, and we like to really go towards the colder. But you have to think about it like this: if your body's already under stress, right? So if you have a stressful job, or if you're an athlete, a high-level athlete, and you're dealing with a lot of stress, and your situation coming into the ice has already been stressful, then you might want to go to a different temperature tub. So that's where you'll find the variance of why would I do one versus the other is if I've already done a stressful workout or it's been a stressful week, I may not want to expose my body to more stress that's going to cause me to go in the wrong direction. And so we'll find the variance of temperatures when you start to look at where am I at on my training cycle. I do want to do the recovery. I know the benefits of recovery, but I don't want to stress my body out to the point where I'm getting the negative effects. And so we have 3 different tubs here, and each one of the tubs is going to be set to a different temperature so that you can come in and do a self-assessment. Am I willing to endure? Am I ready to endure? Do I want to push the limits of this cold exposure, or do I just need to get some recovery done? And so I
Gotcha.
need to go into a lesser temperature tub.
So let's talk about sauna. So usually we do the sauna first, then we go to the
Hmm.
cold.
Yep.
So can you talk us through on some of the benefits of the sauna that you've been studying, noticing on your own body, and then from all the study you've done?
Yes, yes, absolutely. The sauna, and in particular the infrared sauna, well, infrared is being descriptive of what type of light waves are being used to heat the body. And red light in particular has been known to really help your mitochondria or your cell structures really help themselves repair and create more energy for your body to function. So there is literally probably 40 to 50 benefits of the infrared sauna, but the main ones for me are, number one, you're going to start to increase your body's ability to recover and repair itself from being exposed to extreme heat. The heat is being generated from the infrared, which is a light wave that your body is going to be heated up from the inside out. Versus a finished sauna or a wet sauna, where you go in, it's like a steam room,
Yeah.
and your body's being heated from the outside in. So there's a different effect that your body's going through, but
Mm.
essentially, you're still heating up the body and you're creating a heightened circulation. So blood flow is being increased. So we start to open up all the things that go to your cardiovascular, they go to your heart, and the things that are related to your blood flow and the systems of your body that are helping you stay healthy. On top of that, you're getting what's being released in the body is dynorphins, and dynorphins are the heightened sensitivity to endorphins. And endorphins is that real good feeling. It's what we're chasing a lot of times, is the endorphins, that heightened awareness. It's present in anything that you do that causes you to sweat. Right. So your
Hmm.
body, when you elevate your temperature, you release dynorphins. So you get this from working out, you get this from being outside, walks on a beach, sunsets, sunrise. You're getting a heightened awareness to endorphins. And this is why people get addicted. Like, I just got to work out. I feel so good. I go to class. I didn't want to come to class today, but jujitsu class was so good today. I'm so glad I came. They're experiencing what it feels like to have a heightened awareness to the endorphins that were driven during that elevated temperature. So 20 minutes in the sauna, your body is going to start to do that. Right, you're going to start to have that real big release of this endorphin recognizer, if you will, called the dynorphins. You're also getting your body to start to get into burning more of the fat cells that aren't functioning in your body. And this happens with the cold water as well. Cold water exposure combined with some sauna, you're getting the benefit of really helping your body to get rid of brown fat. I'm sorry, white fat, which is, so white adipose tissue is tissue that doesn't really have a really good amount of mitochondria function. Brown adipose tissue or brown fat has a heightened awareness of mitochondria or blood functioning inside of it. And so that's the reason why it shows up as brown versus white. The white fat is devoid of mitochondrial function or really high levels of activity. And so we want to get rid of the fat that's not functioning for us, and we want to increase the fat that is functioning for us. Well, the infrared sauna combined with some cold exposure will help your body start to recognize which fat is working for me and which fat is not. And we're going to get rid of the fat that's not and really keep the fat working and burning for us. So there's a real big benefit to getting rid of the fat cells that really aren't performing for your body and helping your body function better. So the infrared sauna is really, really key for that. And there's a number of other things, research markers that say that your all-cause mortality, so the thing that's killing the most people in the world today, that's going to be reduced by 55% just from spending time in the sauna. Alzheimer's, dementia, these are things that are dealing with your brain. The chances of being able to avoid those things goes up, or I should say, you reduce the chance of getting that by 50%. So your chance of survival goes up, the chance of getting a certain disease related to your brain goes down. just from being inside of an infrared sauna. So
So
lots
to
of
get
benefits
this,
there.
so to get this type of benefit, what are we talking about? Average temperature?
The average temperature is going to be really between 120 and 140, 150 degrees. There are some saunas that go a little bit hotter. Again, it's not a matter of how hot the sauna is. It's really more the exposure to the light waves. So you can get a lot of that benefit from a sauna that's really at 120. And we talk about 120, and that seems like it might be really hot, but ultimately it's really not that uncomfortable or that stressful, if you will. And so the heat is something that you got to be really careful that you don't push your limits on as far as extreme temperature that you're being exposed to, as well as temperatures that are well over 180 degrees to 200 degrees. So
Okay,
right about 120 to 150 is where we like to kind of camp out at.
got it. So when I'm going there, I'm doing the 20 minutes of sauna, and then I
Yep.
go the 5 minutes cold, and then after we go to that. It's not a what is it? A jacuzzi sort of? What is it?
Yes, yes, yes. So that hot tub jacuzzi is a special type of water. We call it hyperdissolved oxygenated water, which means that the water has been infused with a really, really, really tiny sized molecule of oxygen. So the bubbles inside that tub are literally 1 micron in size, and the pores on our skin are 26 microns in size. So essentially, sitting in that tub allows you to now absorb on every single one of your pores an oxygen molecule that's now going to come in and start to repair your system. We also have that system going through an ozonator. So the water's been cleaned with ozone, and it's now being touted as they call it the microzone. So these micro-sized bubbles of ozone are also inside the water. So we have ozone and O, which is O3, and oxygen, which is O2. Now, O3, ozone in and of itself, when it comes in contact with another particle or another bacteria or something else that it can attach itself to, that extra molecule of oxygen will come off and now start to wrap that away or kill off that particle. And now you're left with O2. So ozone is really, really one of the things that causes a reduction in inflammation, bacteria, things that are going to cause a problem in your body. You're now getting exposed to when you sit in that hot tub jacuzzi that we have.
Yeah, I do. I do feel like right after the cold and go in. Of course, my maybe I have more sensitive like hands or whatever. My fingers are like definitely like kind of numb in a way. Like I try to sometimes move my hand in water a little bit, and so when I go to the hot tub, I feel like the first minute it's even a little challenging as far as like getting that shock in,
Hmm.
and then of course it then kind of cruise. But I feel like the first, I don't know if it's just me, but it's just the first minute or two, I feel a little bit more the opposite of what we're doing. But yeah, I feel like, especially right after that, like after the two, yeah, there's something to it that it does help, man. Because
Yeah.
usually I try to go after training, after the physical therapy, and then it just go in. And there's times that I go in kind of dragging, and I feel a little, oh, okay, feel a little better.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
especially now I'll be 50 this year, so I'll take it, man. Whatever can help me
Let's
to
go.
recover, I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that tub is um most hot tubs or jacuzzis typically will make you feel a little bit more relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like you want to take a nap and go to sleep. Our tub is set up to where you should come out of it and really feel like you have more energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
you've been overly oxygenated, and so your body's able to function a little bit better. And so it's at 98 degrees, so it's not crazy hot. And the idea behind that is that your body is the same temperature as your skin to kind of help you assimilate and absorb as much
Mm-hmm.
of that oxygen as possible. And so we have that set up specifically for that reason to help your body because the tingling, there's a contrast element, right? We're coming right
Yeah.
out of a extreme cold and going into a borderline extreme heat in 98 degrees of water. So we're getting a contrast therapy with the oxygen, which creates that tingling in your fingers and your feet. I've had that happen, just going right to the tub, like not coming out of the cold, not coming out of the sauna. I come in and I'm kind of dragging, and I just kind of need a little pick me up, a little boost. And I get into the tub and I have that same tingling sensation. And I can
Okay.
only, yeah, I can only relate it to the fact that there's a higher level of oxygen, and my body was probably starved of those levels of oxygen in my extremities, in particular, like my toes and my feet, my fingers, more so than my torso and the
Gotcha.
closer elements of the lungs and heart. So
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
definitely relate to that because I've been noticing the first like couple minutes. I'm like, oh man, it's so challenging. So let's talk a little bit about jujitsu. So how jujitsu show up in your life,
yeah.
and you started a little older per se,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep. So I'm 47 right now, and I started jujitsu. I think I first put on a gi in 2016. Before that, I had been doing just some no gi stuff, kind of unofficially. Wasn't really affiliated with anybody. Just had some guys that we had some mats. They'd bring over some mats, we'd roll them out, and so we're just doing no gi. So that started in 2014. In 2016, I put on the gi and started to really get serious about jujitsu as well, as far as it goes with the technical aspects of it, just learning the grips and learning the different positions. I think my first competition was in 2017, the Arizona State competition, and then I fell in love with the sport. I fell in love with the challenge that it presents for my mind, and so that was, 6 7 years ago, 6 years ago. So yeah, I was over 40, 41, 42. So I was in the master's division. And I really loved the challenge of it. It was like chess. It was therapy for my mind and for my brain to be able to, number one, it was the only sport that I've ever been involved in that in practice I can go as hard as I possibly want, as hard as
Mm-hmm.
I want, right? As hard as I want. There's a higher level strength level, there's a higher level skill level, there's a higher level belt, that I could partner up with and go as hard as I possibly can. And so that was very therapeutic for me. Um, Being an entrepreneur, being a father, being a husband, and having to deal with levels of just balancing out life. Jiu-jitsu really honed in my body's ability to just let it all out, right? To give me an avenue that really, like I say, I can go all out on a higher level belt, right? So a purple, brown, black belt. I know that they know that we're both okay. We're in a situation, we're in an environment where it's trusted, that we can be aggressive and be smart and not hurt each other, but really try to hurt each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that really was my love of jujitsu. Um, I really fell in love with it so much that I built my own little jujitsu floor so I can train on it myself. And I can bring over my little buddies, and I can choke them out every once in a while too, or get choked out.
Yeah.
And what it was, I had a couple guys that were firefighters, and they didn't have a school that they were a part of because their schedule didn't allow for it. And so they kind of talked me into creating a little spot that we could have for ourselves, like a garage gym, but here at our training facility. And we used to just go up there on, every 4 or 5 days when they had their 2 days off or their schedule would allow for it. And we'd go up there and just kind of like, it was just a workout. It was literally a debriefing session for both of us. To get rid of some stress levels. And so, yeah, I have a great appreciation for everything that jiu-jitsu offers, for the body as a workout, and for the mind, that it really gives you a great outlet for some stressful situations.
So let's talk a little bit about mindset. Let's go back when you're like immersed into your athletic journey. How was for you performing? How was for you dealing with nerves? Is it something that came natural to you? You worked on it. I mean, um, when you become a competitor, it is an emotional roller coaster. Sure, you're gonna
Yeah.
have good moments, not so good moments. Sometimes facing injuries or being prepared for something, not get the results. So just dealing with it's an incredible tool, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how was for you mentally speaking the competition?
Um, you know, So my athletic background was in track and field, and track and field is it's a team sport, but it's a very much individual sport. It's just you on the track. It's just you in that lane. And I can remember something that stuck with me to this day. I had a coach that he was from Watts. He was from California, and he was phenomenal, just a beast of an athlete. And he told me one day, I remember I had false started. So the nerves that I had, this was when I was in high school, and I was competing in front of a bunch of other colleges that I knew were at this event. And so I let the nerves get the best of me, and I false started. And so I immediately disqualified, didn't compete that day, and it ate me up. I went in my tent and I was mad. I had a towel over my head. I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I really had lost what it was to be, mentally connected to the event, because I was like, I felt like I lost everything. Like there's no chance of me getting the scholarship that I wanted, or all these different things. And he came to me, and he said, what's going on? And it was raining that day. And I was so mad. I said, it's because of the rain that I didn't do well. And he said, that's not that it's not raining in your lane alone. It's raining in everybody's lane.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going through that. What are you talking about? You think it just rains in your lane only? And it really broadened my
Mm-hmm.
my thought process
That
that
is not a
I'm
conspiracy against you.
everybody's not against me. And it really helped me to understand that you're gonna get nervous, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody's nervous. You're gonna have these nerves. You're gonna be uneasy, but everybody is. So when you get in that situation, especially when it comes to competing in competition, if it's jujitsu and I get on that mat and we slap hands, he's just as nervous as I am. He's just as prepared or unprepared as I am. There's no level of it. There's no real gauge to be able to say I'm at the point where I need to be at. I just have to recognize that we're all on this same journey. We're all on this same level. As soon as I start to get higher and think that I'm good. I'm not nervous. There's no nerves at all. I'm ready. That's when I'm gonna get beat. When I am overly nervous and I'm overly thinking about what is this guy's background and he knows too much, or
Mm-hmm.
he's this or he's that, his career is such and such. Now we're on the other end of the spectrum. So I got to bring it back to the fact that it's not just raining in my lane. It's raining on the entire field. Everybody in the competition is getting
Mm-hmm.
rained on. Everybody in the competition has entered the competition with that understanding that we're putting on the line, and we're going to come up against somebody who is just as prepared or not as prepared. But so long as I know that we're in the same situation, it can be an even playing ground, and I can get rid of those nerves. Right now, we still have to compete. We still got
Mm-hmm.
to do the things that we've been training to do. But it really helped me in my career as I tried to go after becoming an Olympic athlete. As I was seeking to get that accolade, it really helped me understand to not get overly excited and not to be undermining myself and thinking I don't belong, because that can create the nerves too, right? I'm not at the level I should be, or these
Mm-hmm.
people or these guys or competitors are way better than I am, but they may not be, and I don't have to give in to that thought process, because that's what I think creates the nerves, and it creates the fear really of the unknown, and we start to make these things that aren't even really out there, not even really possible.
Yeah, sometimes I think about with track, like you can have, because I mean, you people are running next to you, but they got nothing to do with you. You're doing
Yeah,
your own thing. Um, but I just think like you can have your best time, your best day ever, but you still didn't qualify or place or whatever. You know what I mean?
oh
So
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
tricky thing about
yeah,
it. So
big
it
time.
depends how you want to reevaluate your performance, saying like, oh my God, I didn't, but like, dude, you actually did your best time. So
Yeah,
that's a dynamic that in jiu-jitsu, it's kind of tough because that combat that one, of course, you can have great performance, but someone have a great performance as well, right?
yeah, yeah.
So how is, because I don't know how is feeling like dealing with the emotion of didn't get what you want, but officially you're like, man, that was my best time.
I think that every day we show up a little bit different, right? We show up to really have we want to put our best foot forward. We want to put our best self out there. And there's been some times, especially with jiu-jitsu, where I've lost a match. And I think to myself, I was better than that guy. I was better than that guy. But today, his jiu-jitsu was better.
Hmm.
And I have to admit that to myself that today wasn't my best. I'm better than him. I'm faster than that guy on the track. I'm way faster. But today wasn't my fastest time. Wasn't my best time. And I think that's what, like looking at track and field, real quick, I could tell you a quick story. I was trying to become the top 8 athlete in the nation, right? In the US. To get an Olympic trial invite, you need to either have won a couple national championships or have been that guy for some time where you can get invited to Olympic trials, or you need to place a certain time that's within the top 10 or top 8 that you get that invite. And so the top fastest hurdlers for me they were all Americans. America at the time had the fastest sprinters in the world in 96 and in 2000. And then that started to change. Mr. Usain Bolt showed up on the scene. There's a number of different hurdlers and athletes from around the world that are really good. The guy from China set the world record. There's a guy, they're all over outside of the US. But at the time that I was competing, I was trying to become really the fastest, the top 8 guy in the nation. And it got to the point where it's like, that's just not going to happen. Even my best time wasn't enough, but it was still my best. And that's why I walk away from the sport of track and field, was knowing I gave it my all and that was my everything. And I bring that over to jiu-jitsu, and really everything that I do in life is, did I give it my all? Did I put everything I have on that? And if I still lose, at least I know that. At least I know I trained, I prepared, and I put it all on the mat. And I can be satisfied with the fact that I never went to the Olympics. I never went to Olympic trials, but I know I committed my everything to try to obtain that, right? So if I lose a certain match or a competition and I prepared for that, great. If I didn't, now I know what I need to do, right?
And how much time we're talking about? Not very much. Like I'm saying, like, to be in the 8, and sometimes the difference,
Oh yeah.
it's so ridiculously
Yeah, we're
small.
talking about 3/8 of a second, right? The world record was 12:9, and my fastest time was a 13:5. So I needed to run a 13:2 in order to be able to qualify. So 12:9 and 13:2, those are 0.3 seconds apart, but uh you start trying to get to that level of competition, everything's got to be right. Everything's got to hit, and then you got to be skilled and talented enough to actually still perform at that level. So yeah,
Yeah, dude, I give so much respect to Olympic athletes because, let's say, okay, jiu-jitsu, you compete at I don't, regardless, even if a black belt, adult, world level, whatever. Like, so the black belt adult is kind of our Olympics per se, the highest level
yeah,
for
yeah,
jiu-jitsu,
for sure.
and it didn't work out, and I'm like, okay, next year I'll participate in some opens, and then I'll get some points, and then I'll go again. And now the Olympics, like every 4 years, maybe,
Hmm.
if you train like a maniac, maybe you can get to participate in a party. You know what I mean? Maybe.
That's it.
But
Maybe.
like,
Big maybe.
and when I see guys that go through like multiple Olympic cycles, it's just
How? Yeah.
incredible. I can't
Yeah.
imagine guys with like 4 Olympics, 5 Olympics. It's just how insane
Unreal.
that is.
Unreal. Yeah. Unreal. For a guy to go to 3 Olympics, 2004, 2008, 2012, 2016, unreal. How are you the best for 12 years in a row? How are you the best in your country and in the world
Yeah.
for over 10 years? That's huge. Huge.
Yeah.
You don't see it a lot. You definitely don't see it a lot. Those guys are special. Guys and gals that can do that, 4 years at a time, are really dialed in and really be able to know their body, right?
Yeah.
And know how to perform at a high level consistently. That's
What
wild.
is who's the most impressive athlete that you ever encounter? Like as far as like full package, mental, like everything that you've seen the guy run, you've seen, maybe you got a little closer, to see what's a person come to your mind?
Immediately when you say that, there's a guy named Andre Iguodala, and I trained Andre when he was in college. He showed up as a freshman and he said he was the exact same dimensions as Michael Jordan. He was stronger and faster and more mentally strong than Michael Jordan. I said, "Oh, you are?" And he said, "I am." And he said, "I'm going to the NBA next year." I'm like, "This kid is wow." And he had probably one of the best mindsets that I've ever seen for a young kid, 18 years old kid, to be able to go into the NBA. And he actually lived up to that. To this day, I think he was a finals MVP after being in the league for a number of years. I think he went to the Pistons. He played for the Pistons for a while. He kind of bounced around the NBA and he found his home at Golden State. He played for the Warriors, and the Warriors went on. They won the NBA Finals, and he was the MVP of the NBA Finals. And I was just like, that's why, because I remember back all the way in 2001 when he showed up at the University of Arizona and said, "I'm that guy." He was that guy. And that's a personal story, so I know him
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Yeah.
Outside of that, if there wasn't an actual athlete that I've actually touched or talked to, I like to look at Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, I think he had to overcome a lot and still does.
Yeah.
And he performed at the highest level consistently. Anybody who can perform Usain Bolt on the track and field consistently was the fastest athlete in the world, the fastest man on the planet for 12 years at a time. That's just it's unbelievable. And so I think that those guys definitely have a mental capacity. Tom Brady was over 40 years old and he was, winning Super Bowls. I think that mentally, I don't think he was doing anything physically. I think that he was doing something mentally.
Oh
Physically, he
yeah.
might have been doing some recovery, right? He was
For
helping his
sure.
body stay at a level to be able to still compete at that level and win at that level. Um, it's never been done to that level of consistency. So when I look at somebody's mentals, I think to how consistent are they, because that's going to carry over bigger than the physicalities they might be encountering and putting on the floor, putting on the mat, putting on the field. We're seeing the level of mentality that's above the rest. Big.
Absolutely. Changing gears a little bit, we have a lot of listeners who are entrepreneurs, business owners. So we always like to talk about some business too. How was, because a moment that I like to talk with people, especially for you at home or driving, doing whatever, you're listening to this right now, and you're in a point that you are considering starting your business, but you have, all the negative talk, should I do this? Am I ready? What if it doesn't work or whatever? How was your transition to actually have like, okay, I'm officially having my own building, my own responsibility, and I'm all in. It
Mhm.
was a smooth transition. It was mentally speaking, like how was it dealing with the negative voice if it was bugging you? So how was that moment?
Um, Gosh, that's such a loaded question, and it's a loaded question because I was all over the map, right? It was good, it was bad, it was negative, it was positive. Um, but I'll say this, my company's name is Unfair Advantage because one of my clients told me, he said, you give my son, he had three boys. He said, you give my kids an unfair advantage. I said, ooh, that's good. I'm changing my name today. And I wouldn't have changed my company name to Unfair Advantage. And my logo, it points up and it points down at the same time because in life and everything that we encounter, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. And I put a circle around my logo. After I first made the logo, I drew a circle around it because it's a continual cycle. And the real unfair advantage as an entrepreneur comes in the fact that I can't get too high off the highs or too low off the lows. I have to find
Mm-hmm.
a way to stay even keel because things are going good. Don't worry, it's going to change. Things going bad. Don't worry, it's going to change. It has to change. And once I really grasped that, once I really had under my full understanding that things are going to be bad, things are going to be good, whether I own my own company or not, I stepped out there. I went out on a limb. They say go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is. It's risky. The branch is not too sturdy, but the fruit is over there. So I got to go out on this limb. I've got to go get that apple. And it's over there. I've got to take the risk that says I may or may not get it, but it's so worth it. You know, the security that I have in owning my own gym, owning my own business, I didn't have when I was a strength coach in college. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was security. I thought, hey, I'll be a strength coach forever. I'm gonna be the head strength coach at this university and blah blah. I'll have that forever. There's no security in a lot of what I saw with college athletics, and you see it now. There's college the coaches, the coaching staff changes every year, every other year, and when they leave, everybody gets fired and a new regime comes in,
Mm.
and so I saw that there wasn't any security, and I can take a full grasp understanding, and I really embrace it with everything that I have, that as an entrepreneur there's a level of security and motivation that keeps me going because I'm it, right? I'm it. But I'm gonna bank on me walking out on that limb and getting that apple because that's where the fruit is. And if the branch falls, I'll grab onto the next branch and I'll pull myself up and I'll walk out there again and get some more fruit. And it's well worth the fruit and the labor, right? The time that it takes to climb up the tree, to get on the branch, and to walk out on this really shaky branch and get that fruit and come back to safety is what I do every day, right? I
Mm-hmm.
leave my house, I leave the mama bear and the kids at home, and I walk out on this limb and I go out and get the fruit, and it becomes even more and more of a security system because I really know and understand that I have that motivation. And so instead of that being a negative thing, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times some entrepreneurs can look at the risk involved with walking out on a limb and taking that chance and taking that risk and shy away from it and hug onto a tree that's being cut down by corporate, right? The
Mm-hmm.
corporation is about to make some cuts and they call it that for a reason. And if that tree falls down, what are you left with? You're on the ground anyway. And now you have
Mm-hmm.
to find another tree to climb up, and hopefully it's strong enough, and hopefully it's in a situation that doesn't get cut down. I've seen it time and time again where people are extremely talented. They're really good at their job, and they get cut, or they get laid off, or they get downsized, right? And I think that as an entrepreneur, that's not a possibility. That's not going to happen, right? Nobody's coming to fire me or to say, hey, we got to downsize. If clients leave and that happens, I embrace it as the up and the down. It ebbs and it flows, and it's gonna happen. It's a
Mm-hmm.
continual cycle, and the cycle is we go get more clients, we make more relationships, and we enjoy the journey of being able to have that ability to really lock in and take another step on the limb. Because at the end of that limb, there's fruit. There's fruit, and the fruit is good, right? The pears, the apples, the oranges that we endure as entrepreneurs, the relationships and the conversations that we have are what we lean back on and say, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. I'll do it again. I'll go back on down that limb again for that one person that I was able to change their life, for that one person that changed my life, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of clients that I have that really leave a lasting impact. I'm not training them anymore, but they did their job, and I wouldn't have had those opportunities had I not and really put myself out there on a limb and started the business that I did as an entrepreneur. And really, the success is that fruit. It is that relationship. It is that conversation that we continually have. And I'm going to have more, right? We're going to have more encounters and more opportunities the more we start to create more and more entrepreneur decisions and relationships surrounded around that.
What comes to your mind when you think about some of the biggest struggles that you went through your entrepreneurial journey? You did talk about it's a big one, like of the highs and the lows, not getting
Hmm.
caught into that,
Hmm.
like that is a struggle itself, to figure
Oh,
that
big
out, to
time.
go through that, you know. It could be anything related to marketing or like I've never done that, or what when you think about struggle, what do you think of, and what did you learn from that?
I think the biggest thing is or maybe not the biggest thing, but one of the struggles that pops in my mind is just being able to understand that there's so many unknowns. right? There's a lot of things I just did not know,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish I would have had somebody of a mentor or somebody
Mm-hmm.
else that I could have leaned on to find out these types of things. And so one of the biggest struggles, I think, just in signing a lease, right? Signing and committing to a 3 year, 5 year, the lease agreements and the jargon, the legal jargon, and even the legalities that surround
Yeah.
business in and of itself. I had no clue. I did not know what I didn't know. And I think that's one of the biggest misnomer. That might be probably one of the bigger things that keeps people from stepping out onto the levels of entrepreneurship is we don't know what we don't know in the way of legalities or in the way of understanding that there's going to be some things that you're exposing yourself to that now you have to just endure. But I think having a business coach or having somebody who's actually walked out that path is key. And
Mm-hmm.
being able to be around other individuals that are also walking it out, I think that's been one of the big things for me is I've been able to now talk to other entrepreneurs, other business owners and say, hey, what did you do when you encountered this? And have that feedback where it wasn't about competition. We weren't trying
Mm-hmm.
to get the same clients. We're just like, we're both in this bucket of entrepreneur. And what is it that, made, how'd you get through the struggle? So I think finding other entrepreneurs that are successful and also still in the fight, and I say still in the fight is after those 2 or 3 years of being a business owner, you can start to say, okay, I kind of know what I'm doing. Um, and I started this company in 2005. And so being able to now look back and say, I know a little bit more about business than I did when I started, it just comes from experience and it comes from actually being able to talk to other successful entrepreneurs. And so marketing, word of mouth is by far, I think, my number one marketing tactic.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really experienced a great deal of success, if you will, from doing like some of the paid ads,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a science to it. There's a strategy behind doing some of those things, but by far my best marketing has come from word of mouth and the referrals that I get because people who have experienced what we do at Unfair Advantage and what we do in our training have been able to obviously explain that to other people in such a way that I don't have to do a sales talk. I don't have to convince anybody
Mm-hmm.
to come into our facility. They come, they know what they're getting into and they want it. And so that's been the best marketing tactic ever is getting reviews from current clientele, past clientele that leads to better future clientele.
Nice. And I like you to mention about being surrounded by uh, other entrepreneurs even more successful than you are to be like, okay, what are you doing that is working for you? I've been lucky to be part of some mastermind groups before
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
did make an impact. I would stay in a group for 6 months. Some would stay for a year, and then I felt like, okay, I think I reached a ceiling here, and then kind of did my own thing. And then next thing went to another group, and then there's another like boost of like knowledge that I didn't have. Being around more successful jiu-jitsu academy owners, martial arts academies, and seeing, and of course it always depends too, like what area you at and so
Hmm.
forth.
Hmm.
We're like by ASU, so there's a lot of college students. So I remember being in one of the masterminds that the guy was in Atlanta, I believe, and just what he was describing, I was like, oh wow, that's kind of like what I'm going through. And then right after we start talking, and I start to implement some of the ideas that I got from him and that I still
Hmm.
use to this day. So it's good to be around, and it's an investment too when you go around and be around uh, those people. But I felt like, in my situation, I felt like it really helped me, and yeah, just being surrounded by people that
Yeah.
know more than you, yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it
Yeah.
definitely help. And like you said, it's not like you ran a business before you did a class. This is how we're going to do it. It's just kind of like, all right,
Here
we're
we go.
going.
Yeah.
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 Me is the same. In Brazil, I used to teach jiu-jitsu in a fitness gym, so I had a little room there. you got a kickback of how much people pay or whatever. Then I
Hmm.
moved to the US, was in Vegas for close to 2 years, just observing the change of the market and then start to seeing like, oh, now there's such a thing as auto pay. I'm talking about like 99 and 2000. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
something new.
yeah.
Back then it was just cash, you pay per month, you know. So just being exposed to that. So moved to Arizona, I was like, okay, we need to start looking for now companies that do that. So all that stuff
Yeah.
that you just, it would be nice if someone just going like, yo, dude, you know,
Yeah.
do this, do that. But it is what it is. Just being
Hmm.
exposed. And books. I mean, there's so
Oh
much
yeah. Oh yeah.
incredible information, which
Yeah.
leads me to, what would you say that is a book that has made a big impact on you at some point in your journey? It could be personal development, it could be business, just something when you think about a book, like, hey, if I could recommend a book to someone, doesn't matter the topic, what book comes to your mind?
Woo! Just one?
Yeah,
Damn.
anything that you want, but like, I feel like there's always
Um,
some that it kind of, there's a page or something that made an impact on you that are like, oh wow, okay, you know, and that made that stamp on you.
there's a number of books. Asking It Is Given is a book um about manifesting, and
Mm,
and not that, you know, a belief standpoint that somebody might have, it's not to change your belief. It was informational to me, but it really helped me understand my vision. It really helped me to see the negative talk that I would have around myself, the
gotcha.
self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped me to start to direct my thoughts and my energy and my everything. Like, we're always talking in our head. We're always got things in our head going
Mm-hmm.
on. It really helped me to start to really shift that to an appreciative standpoint instead of a degrading or a negative or whatever. And that might be true, right? That might be a real bad situation. And the fact is, that's a bad situation. But
Yeah,
there's always something to appreciate from everything we go through. And so asking it is given,
becoming more self-aware,
just
right?
self-aware. Yeah,
And
self-aware.
which is
That
the first two pillars of emotional intelligence, which is number one, you know, the self-awareness, and number two, self-regulation. Be, you know, to self-regulate, self-monitor your thoughts,
yeah,
feelings, and behaviors based on like, oh, okay, oh shit,
yeah,
I didn't pay
that
attention before, and
yeah,
now is
yeah.
your
I missed that.
choice if you're going to self-regulate or not.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, and I think that really we're always in that place, right? I had overlooked myself. I wasn't self-regulating. I wasn't really controlling my thoughts, and as I started to do that and apply it to my business, it really helped me streamline the mission and the vision and get rid of the things that didn't really line up or weren't really helping us move in the direction that we wanted to go in. And so that book, and there's another book called Traction, and Traction really helps outline the core values as a business owner, a mission and a vision that other people can receive. It wasn't just my vision because I see it, but really, how does everybody else see the vision? How do the trainers see the vision? How do my clients see the vision? How does the world see my vision? And so having somebody else see what you see was a really big eye opener for me, lack of a better term, that Traction really put down on paper. It really put down that, you know, the people that are surrounding me, the people who are here to help me also need to know what my vision is. And I need to be able to clearly lay that out so that they can buy in, right? So we can get the buy-in if it's a client, if it's another trainer, or if it's just even my family and my friends that are around me. If I want them to help me and support me, do they know what I'm really trying to go after?
Gotcha.
Because a lot of times in entrepreneurship, you'll find that people aren't supportive or they're not as supportive. And we say support, like that's my own definition of what that means. And that might just be because they don't know the vision. They don't know where you're going. So I don't know, you're going to San Diego? I didn't know you're going to San Diego. I thought you were going to Austin. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm supporting you going this way, and it's the complete opposite. So although the support might be there, it's taking me in the wrong direction because they don't know the vision. And so Traction was the other book that I've listened to several times just to be able to glean
Nice.
some of the things that can I comply to not only my business but my family as well.
Beautiful. So we're getting close to the end of the interview. So what's exciting? What's going on with Unfair Advantage plans that you have? And tell a little bit more about, if you want to say it in Instagram or whatever information, but what are you excited about?
I think right now the most thing we're excited about is the wellness and recovery side that we just opened up. And so we have 4 infrared saunas, 3 cold plunges, 2 hyperdissolved oxygen tanks. That's the hot tubs or the oxygen water. And then we also have exercise with oxygen. We've brought on Greg with physical therapy, his in-house 2 days a week. I'm trying to get him to be here every day of the week. I love, love, love having the energy that he brings. We have 3 amazing massage therapists that are on staff. Every single person who is a one-on-one training client has access to the entire facility, but we also have one-offs where if people want to just get a massage, or if they just want to use the recovery center with the ice bath, infrared sauna, the hot tub, if they just want to see Greg, obviously all these things are here to support each other, but you can also see one or two or multiple modalities that we have here in the building. We just brought on these 2 machines called the ARX, which is adaptive resistance exercise. It is by far the #1 way for your body to recognize strength, both on the concentric, so the flexing motion, as well as the eccentric, which is the stretching motion of the muscle. This machine is one of the things, and you'll see this across the industry with as it relates to fitness, is progressive overload. It's giving you a load for the entire strength curve from the moment your arm is completely stretched out to the point where your body's completely flexed, that you're getting strength and building strength from one end of the joint to the other end. And these things, as you say, what I'm excited about, I am extremely excited about those things because it can do something objectively that I can't do. It tells all of our clients whether or not they've got stronger or weaker, and then as they get stronger, by what percentage they're getting stronger. And so that's something that I've never had before, and now we have it all under the same roof with the wellness side combined. I really feel that ultimately we have an unfair advantage.
Beautiful. So we are recording this is in May 2024, and next month we're going to do GD Academy Recovery Day. I'm gonna get like a couple hours to introduce to some of the students.
Yes,
And so if other school owners in Arizona want to do that, you're open for it, for them to visit, to do something like that, to
absolutely.
get them.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
what's your Instagram?
So you can find us on Instagram at unfair.advantage. And that's the business Instagram. My personal Instagram is just Watus Cooper. And so I'm very, very, very responsive to Instagram messages. So you can message me there. And we'd love to have everybody be able to experience it and just try it out to see what we have to offer to help their bodies get better.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the help with the recovery too.
Yes,
As I
yes.
mentioned, he needed, and I've been using and prepare myself mentally every time to go in the cold water. It's like, oh God, here we go, you know. But I try to put my mind into that place of like how great it's going to feel after, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
like, oh my God, you know, so I try to just stay focused. Like, man, it's gonna feel so much better after, and let's go. So I feel like I
Good.
still need a lot of work with like my focusing while I'm in it, but it will take some
It gets
time.
better.
I'm
Yeah,
new, you
yeah.
know.
Only gets better.
So thank you so much, dude. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Ooze.
Bye.